much are you treating this game as a dress rehearsal for next week?
We're not. We're treating this as our fourth preseason game rather. An opportunity for us to get better, an opportunity for our starters to kind of find that chemistry, that sense of urgency, an opportunity for our guys off the bench to play extended minutes, hopefully, and continue to play at a high level. I'm sure Doc is not going to do everything. He's not going to show his hand tonight, and we're not going to completely show our hand. So I'm really more worried about us as opposed to next Wednesday when we play them season opener.
I guess with that in mind, how do you balance showing strategy and still doing what you guys do?
Yeah, it's definitely a fine line. There are things that, our last preseason game, number 5, is in Chicago. Then we have a few days to get ready for a season opener. In that time, I think every team in the NBA will be putting in quite a few things offensively and defensively, just so they can kind of hopefully catch their opponents off guard to start the season. So right now it's more about trying to perfect everything we have in offensively and trying to improve and get better at everything we're trying to work on defensively, from a game plan standpoint, from a discipline standpoint, and from an effort standpoint. So those are really the most important things tonight are those areas, not necessarily, and I told the starters this, I'm not expecting you guys to go out there and make every shot and play mistake-free basketball. What I am expecting you, and the burden of responsibility that you have as a starting group, is to go out there and play as hard as you can, to play as unselfish as you can, and if you do that, we're going to be a really good basketball team.
You talked about urgency with that starting group, and you mentioned a couple examples, but what does that look like?
That looks like 5 guys that are connected and giving great multiple effort on both ends of the floor. And I think we've had it in stretches. It's not. I don't want it to come across as our starting group hasn't played any good basketball, because we have. I think the last game kind of jumps out against Perth because that was a game where I was really hoping to play our starters first quarter, maybe a few in the second, then shut them down so our bench and our third unit could get extended minutes, because they're deserving of that. So that's where, it's almost an issue where just guys go out and play as hard as you can, play together. And the last thing on that, Katie, is that group hasn't played together a lot. So just finding minutes to play together. Gary missed 2 games in California, so Perth was his first game. So we're trying to get Jamal, Gary, Will, Paul, and Nicola as cohesive as possible going into the regular season.
How would you just describe Gary's performance the first time? It looked like he was a little bit limited, but how do you kind of just summarize that?
I would say Gary Harris played exactly how I would expect Gary Harris to play. Yes, the conditioning, the wind, being back in altitude, missing the first 2 games, you could definitely see that at the 8-minute mark of the first quarter. And I think it wasn't just Gary, to be quite honest. Training at sea level is obviously not the most ideal place to train when you play in altitude. And I think you could see some of that in our game against Perth. But for Gary, I thought his aggressive drives and finishes were terrific. I thought his defense, his commitment to playing both ends at a high level was there. And what I love about Gary is that he has been and continues to be one of our most consistent players. Every night I know what I'm getting from Gary. I'm not saying he's going to go 4 or 5 from 3 every night, but every night I know what I'm going to get from Gary Harris, and that's really comforting to know as a coach. And we need all 5 of our starters to have that same consistency as well.
It's an advantage to play against a team like Clippers, who are going to be fast, physical. They're going to make you communicate on defense. All those things that you would like to.
Yeah. Obviously, this team last season we had some battles, some really close games. What I like about tonight's challenge is how physical they are. I think their starting backcourt's the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. Patrick Beverly and Avery Bradley are 2 pit bulls who are going to make Gary and Jamal work. Their bigs are physical. They screen. They get into you. They pound the offensive glass. They have 2 bigs in Gallinari and Tobias Harris that will present challenges at times for us. So it's going to be a good test for us to see, where we're at, and most importantly, what we really need to kind of clean up moving forward.
How many minutes do you want your starters to play tonight? And would this be the game that they play a lot of minutes and in Chicago you back off because it's right before like the NFL, or is it build tonight and get some more in Chicago?
Yeah, it's one of those. One of those. And kind of see. And I don't have a definitive answer because a lot of that's dependent upon the starters.
Okay.
If I see what I want to see from my starting lineup tonight, then maybe I do pull them, and maybe they only play first half minutes. But there is a great chance that in one of these final 2 games, Chris, our starters are going to play 30-plus minutes because they have to. I do not want to get into October 17th and have guys in the fourth quarter saying, man, I haven't been here since last season, so I have to get that done. But my hope tonight is that we come out and play the right way, and if I can get our starters some rest, great, and then we can treat Friday as that opportunity. But there's a chance if we're not playing the way we need to, maybe tonight's that opportunity. So that's going to be dictated by the start of the game and how well we're playing.
Play well, you play less minutes.
That's my hope. And then that's not so much poorly, but it's just finding that starting group's got to find a rhythm and a chemistry. And I know it doesn't just happen overnight, but I just, especially coming off that Perth game, I like to see that group come out there and play well, play at a high level, and then if we can get some other guys in the game, great.
Awesome. Thanks.